The LPGA tour had Caitlin Clark play, and the LPGA, fans, well, the event was taken over by the ominous crowd that made sure to go get angry at everything Caitlin Clark did and everything Caitlin Clark does and was ever going to do, and made it that she was the problem and not the solution.
The LPGA just did what the WNBA refused to embrace Caitlin Clark like the superstar she is. What was supposed to be a fun crossover event suddenly turned into a massive spotlight moment that exposed a shocking divide in women's sports. The LPGA invited Caitlin Clark, and within hours, the event exploded. Record crowds, non-stop energy, fans chanting her name louder than ever before. But as the golf world celebrated her presence, something strange was happening behind the scenes. Instead of joining the celebration, the WNBA community grew tense, almost bitter, as if Clark's success was somehow a threat. Why would a league built on empowering women act so cold toward the athlete, redefining their future? Was it jealousy, politics, or fear of losing control? What happened next shocked everyone, because the LPGA's bold move didn't just draw fans, it drew a line in the sand between two of the biggest women's leagues in America, and Caitlin Clark suddenly found herself in the middle of a storm she never asked for.
To the whole event, they saw how important it was that new fans were getting involved in golf, especially women's golf.
Caitlin Clark's appearance at the LPGA wasn't just a guest spot, it was a takeover. The moment she arrived, cameras flashed, fans flooded the course, and energy levels shot through the roof. People weren't there for golf, they were there for Caitlin. The LPGA knew exactly what that meant. New fans, new money, and a new era. They embraced her like a hero, celebrating what she brought to women's sports instead of fearing it. But across the court, the WNBA didn't see it that way. What should have been unity turned into jealousy. Whispers spread, tweets surfaced, and suddenly, Clark's success became too much. The same spotlight that boosted golf was burning basketball from the inside, exposing how fragile the league's confidence had become.
The LPGA, you can see when it came to them that they were happy that Caitlin Clark was there. They knew exactly the value that Caitlin Clark brought.
The backlash inside the WNBA didn't take long to surface. Behind closed doors, some league voices began questioning why Clark was even being celebrated outside basketball, as if her fame somehow belonged to them. Reporters noticed it first: the tone in interviews, the tension in press conferences, the subtle comments from players who felt overshadowed. Instead of seeing Clark as an ambassador for women's sports, parts of the WNBA started treating her like a rival, and that's when the story began to spiral. The LPGA leaned into the moment, promoting highlight clips, celebrating crossover fans, and posting record engagement numbers. Meanwhile, the WNBA looked defensive, quiet, almost nervous that the spotlight had shifted. What they didn't realize was that every time they distanced themselves from Caitlin, the public noticed.
Because we know in the WNBA, when it came to Caitlin Clark, it was a lot of we don't need you, and we were good before, and we don't like your fans, and this, that, and everything.
As the LPGA rode a wave of viral success, the WNBA tried to push back, but it only made things worse. Instead of capitalizing on Caitlin Clark's global momentum, league insiders began framing her fame as a distraction, calling it overhyped and media-driven. That attitude backfired instantly. Fans saw right through it. Comment sections exploded, accusing the WNBA of jealousy and gatekeeping. Every time the LPGA posted a smiling photo of Clark surrounded by fans, it looked like a celebration. Every time the WNBA went silent, it looked like resentment. The contrast couldn't be clearer. One league embraced growth, the other clung to pride. And by trying to protect their image, the WNBA ended up exposing exactly what fans feared most. That instead of unity,
they did everything they could to sabotage their own league. And yeah, it backfired. For me anyway, I think it's hard to argue that it didn't completely backfire for them, because Caitlin Clark is more popular than ever.
It didn't stay behind the scenes for long. Fans started picking sides, and social media turned into a battleground. On one side, golf fans and casual viewers praised the LPGA for welcoming Caitlin Clark with open arms, calling it the smartest move women's sports had made in years. On the other, WNBA loyalists defended their players, claiming the media's obsession with Clark was overshadowing decades of hard work. But every argument, every viral clip, only made Caitlyn's name bigger. She became the symbol of a larger question: why can't women's leagues work together instead of tearing each other down? Commentators called it the jealousy era, while fans began comparing how differently each league treated success. The LPGA didn't waste a second. They doubled down on Caitlin Clark's impact, posting her highlights, interviews, and behind-the-scenes moments like she was already one of their own. Their events suddenly sold out. Sponsors called non-stop. Golf coverage hit numbers it hadn't seen in years, and it was all because they knew how to ride the wave instead of fight it. Meanwhile, the WNBA's hesitation was turning into a PR nightmare. Every time someone in the league dismissed Clark's popularity, clips went viral, and the backlash grew. What was meant to protect the veterans ended up alienating fans who just wanted to see women's sports thrive. People started asking the hard questions: why can't both exist? Why does one league celebrate? Through all the chaos, Caitlin Clark stayed silent, and that silence spoke volumes. While leagues debated and fans argued, she just kept doing what she does best: showing up, smiling, and performing. She wasn't chasing attention, but attention followed her anyway. Reporters noted how she praised both the LPGA and the WNBA in interviews, refusing to pick sides. And that's what made fans love her even more. She wasn't trying to start a war, she was trying to build bridges. But her calm presence only made the WNBA's hostility stand out even more. Every time she showed humility, it made their insecurity louder. By now, the numbers were impossible to ignore. The LPGA's event with Caitlin Clark broke attendance records, shattered streaming goals, and brought in sponsors that had never touched women's golf before. News outlets called it the Caitlin effect. Meanwhile, the WNBA's ratings dipped, their social engagement stalled, and fan trust started slipping away. League insiders reportedly began urging executives to rethink their approach, admitting privately that alienating Clark had backfired badly. It wasn't just a PR issue anymore, it was a branding disaster. The LPGA had turned one player's crossover into a movement, while the WNBA was left explaining. In the weeks that followed, the ripple effects of the LPGA's gamble were everywhere. Other leagues began taking notes, quietly studying how one crossover appearance could ignite a nationwide conversation. Brands saw the proof: collaboration sells. Fans saw hope, proof that women's sports can explode when unity replaces ego. And at the center of it all stood Caitlin Clark, still unbothered, still smiling, proving that true influence doesn't need permission. The LPGA had made her a symbol of progress, while the WNBA's resistance became a cautionary tale. Even veteran players began to soften their stance, realizing that Clark wasn't stealing the spotlight, she was expanding it for everyone. The narrative had shifted completely. Weeks turned into months, and yet no suspect was named. The FBI confirmed involvement but refused to comment on progress. Anonymous leaks suggested foreign interference, but no country was identified. Meanwhile, digital investigators continued picking apart every frame of footage, finding small but undeniable inconsistencies. The bullet casing allegedly found at the scene didn't match the weapon type police first announced. Officials later revised their statement twice. Eyewitnesses who spoke publicly reported being contacted by federal agents and advised not to discuss details online. Then came the strangest revelation. The official police report listed the time of death several minutes earlier than the live stream timestamp, meaning the fatal shot may have occurred off camera. If true, that means the entire nation watched a delayed event, not the moment itself.